one then begins to see others as part of themselves. One begins to see that it's best just to love others and not judge them. That what you do to build another actually builds yourself. You begin to see that you're connected, you're part of a large family.
Love of one's neighbor, I think, is based upon the recognition of neighbor as oneself. Ultimately, of course, when consciousness is developed and education is working, one will perceive other as oneself because we're all one unity. There is only one consciousness, there's only one unified field.
Jesus' teaching, love your neighbor as yourself, was actually a teaching about the higher frequencies of the nature of reality. In other words, he didn't say, love your neighbor because it's a good thing to do. Be nice to your neighbor and God will reward you. He was, I suppose we could say, practicing enlightened self-interest at its best, because what he knew that with the intent, which we call the observer in the quantum world, the intent of the observer towards another, what you express towards another, is what you create for yourself. So if you express love or hate or harm to another, you're creating it. And the prime beneficiary in all creation is yourself. So when he said, love your neighbor and do good to those who hate you and so forth, he was actually paying tribute to the role of the observer in everything that we do.
Well, one of the consequences of this entanglement issue is that every thought is received by every other person who can think. Our thoughts have action, have intentions, have consequences that spread out into the world. From a personal basis, my thought is a drop in the ocean. So probably what I think doesn't matter a whole lot. But if there are a billion of me, and we happen to be thinking along the same lines, it probably will be picked up and influence other thinking creatures. So in a sense, if this line of thinking plays out, then one of the consequences may be that we need to be more responsible for our thoughts.
We are all creating the future. We are all creating what is outside of us. None of us are innocent in that regard. If there's something out there we don't like, we can't really turn our backs on it because we're co-creators somehow or other. And we have to do the right things to try to get the future that is best for all of us.
All our separate consciousness, wherever there's consciousness, is merely consciousness by virtue of the fact that my consciousness, your consciousness, are ultimately that. Everything in the universe is really nothing but that. Planets, trees, people, animals, we're all just waves of vibration of this underlying unified superstring field. We are really united at our core. And ultimately the understanding that's emerging will be that there is only one consciousness in this room. And it is you, and it is me, and it is each and every one of us. We individualize our consciousness through the filter of our nervous system, but the consciousness itself, our very inner subjectivity, the self in the big sense, that is universal. And knowing that, knowing it through experience, is called enlightenment, and has been called enlightenment through the ages.
In the end, these were but tools to bring imagination into a quantum fury, a dream that sets its sights above the mundane and the mediocrity of life, that everyone can set their sights therein. Then we are no longer hated and despised, but we have done the one most excellent virtue. We have saved ourselves through simply applying our most excellent eternal ability, and that is that we are God, and that we call out of inertness, the the wind-sprayed particles of chaos, and we freeze them for a momentary reality in which all predecessors and all successors agree upon, and now we have tangibility of mass. But we have brought it out of nothing. And how could we ever be nothing? We could never be nothing. It is only out of nothing that we have our being, but our being we do have, and we are ambitious gods.
To ask the great questions, to begin to formulate possibilities, means that we have to stop the normal way in which we think. When we ask the great questions, we're stopping a moving locomotive. We're stopping that process. And now we're beginning to speculate possibilities, potentials. The whole purpose in life is to change an outcome, to change something about ourselves, to modify our behavior, modify our actions, to have a new experience. To have a new experience means then we're no longer in the typical routine way in which we do things. To ask the great questions is to say, I've pretty much experienced everything that I know. Now I'm interested in knowing something else.
At the end of the day, the summation of all of this is, does it enrich our life? Does it give us a better way to change our mind?
Hey, you're back.
I'm back.
So you never answered my question.
What question?
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
I think we love rabbit holes so much because we realize that there is a greater reality out there and that the reality is much more akin to our dreams.
Rabbit holes are the best thing since Pop Top can.
To go down the rabbit hole and to get away from the mundane is thrilling.
The rabbit hole and how deep and how far we want to go is really how much do you want to discover about your true nature?
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
All the way.
No, it actually, in all honesty, it was one of the most difficult jobs I have ever done in my entire career.
Back for a tremendous panel.
Hey, baby.
Good job, Mom.
Hey, baby.
Good job.
But I do want to introduce Betsy Chassie, who is co-director, co-producer, co-writer, co-everything for What the Beat. She's just going to take off now and lead this panel.
Coolest thing ever. Jay-Z, thank you so much for talking because it was fabulous.
You know that adversity is the greatest teacher in advancing our skill of mind and environment.
Joey, you're awesome.
The new experience of that will have a whole new host of chemicals.
You guys are going to see Mihal tomorrow.
And I have the religious portfolio here this weekend, which is why I'm doing the Sunday morning service tomorrow.
Mihal. I'd like to add one more person to our panel. You guys know him as Reggie. We call him Robert Bailey Jr. just really happy to be here. It's amazing to see all these people supporting the film, and it's a really thought-provoking film, and it's just great to see everybody liking it, loving it, really. It's just great to see everybody appreciating the film. Thank you.
My name is Dean Radin. I'm senior scientist at the Institute of Noetic Sciences in Petaluma, California.
Okay.
We pretend it doesn't exist.
Okay, no problem. Okay, my name is Lynn McTaggart. Is that it? That's great. Did we ever answer? We answered the question you wanted me to answer. Did you about? Yeah. Okay, good.
She wouldn't say get a freaking clue, but.
For those of you who don't met me, my name is Mark Vicente. I'm one of the filmmakers, one of the Unholy Trinity. We have a few panelists that are missing right now, Candace Pert and Fred Allen Wolf. If you find them in the bar, please bring them in. So I thought I'd start with David.
One of the aphorisms that Bohr is famous for is I'm not going to get the quote exactly right, but it's something like, somebody claiming to understand quantum mechanics is the first sure sign that they don't.
Is this one working? So they need as much rigor in their just because there's more of them doesn't make them right. Okay.
I always caution all my lab researchers before they take the pictures to prepare their hearts in 3 ways.
それは真善美という言葉であります。
And so the 3 concepts that I really like for my staff to have before they begin their work are the concepts of truth, of the concepts of virtue, and the concept of beauty.
This elusive, mysterious thing, observer consciousness, is having an effect on something out there. What do you think?
I want to teach you a little Japanese so you can get this. Wakarimasu. Wakarimasu ka? Wakarimasu. Do you understand? Do you not understand? This is a problem, and I'm going to get to what the answer to this in just a moment, but I just want to point out that having Dr. Emoto here is a rare treat for me because it gets me into my Japanese consciousness again.
So, Candace, what do you think?
Well, as I said in my opening comments, I'm not a quantum physicist. I'm just a lowly psychoneuropharmacologist. So I'm starting to feel comfortable as the discussion has.
I'm Dr. Daniel Monti. I'm a physician with specialty training in psychiatry and human behavior. I'm on the full-time faculty at the Jefferson Medical College.
I've heard some people say that, consciousness is this wonderful property in the universe that has a predilection for the human brain. If that's the case, then consciousness is about 3 pounds and looks a little bit like a gray cauliflower.
It's showtime.
Experience going through a microscopic wormhole. At the moment you can travel instantaneously anywhere, you can also go back in time.
So the mathematics of it says that the placebo effect is going to be proportional to the treatment effect, and a few other things. You probably have more to say about it.
No.
Sorry about that.
Multiple personality disorder, have to say about the seat of consciousness. And the second one is what made you want to become a physicist at the age of 50?
Okay, well, I guess multiple personality disorder.
So thank you, all you gods and goddesses, for coming, and thank the panel. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
And what was the title of this film again?
What the
I know.